Malthusianism. We're going to cover a few brief things in our short session today. We're going to look at the concept, what are the principles, we're going to look at the so-called Malthusian crisis, and then finally we will be looking at some contemporary issues in Malthusianism. So without further wait, let's first get into the concept. So this is one way it's drawn. This isn't my perhaps favorite way of drawing it, so I'll draw a diagram in a second. But essentially, the context is it originally came from a publicly available piece of reading material developed by Thomas Malthus. It was known as his essays on the principle of population, and these were, of course, written in 1798. And the idea is it is a very close study of what is the true underlying relationship. What is the true underlying relationship between resource growth and population growth? Specifically, and I draw your attention to the third bullet point here, what Malthus was really trying to say was that the growth of available resources was linear, while the population growth is often non-linear, in other words, exponential. And this is a known fact, right? If you look at the population charts of humans, you will see that humans do grow in population at the natural logarithm rate, right? We have exponential growth, right? It is e to the power of some sort of rate, right? In other words, the number of children born tomorrow is dependent on the current rate of the number of children born today. That's the real key to what an exponential function is. But this is way too abstract, right? Although at the bottom it does make a nice bit of sense. Over a century's time, population would rise by a factor of 16, while food would only rise by a factor of 4. But this is too abstract. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch us over to the whiteboard for a second. So let me show you exactly what we're talking about here. So really, sorry, that is a terribly unstraight line. We'll use this. So really, what we have is imagine we draw a graph. Imagine we're in maths class together and we're drawing a graph here, okay? So this is going to be our graph here. Now, what we're going to have on each axis, this is going to be time, okay? And this is going to be, let this just be amount, okay? And it's either going to be population or it's going to be food, okay? Now, what we have is we have the following. I'm first going to draw. I wonder if I can. No, I was going to see if I could draw a curve. But firstly, the idea is Malthus believes that food grows at this rate. Okay. So this is going to be a trajectory of the food supply in the world. Let's call this global food supply. Right. So there's our global food supply. But the difference is the following, okay? The difference is, how do you think population grows? Well, historically, it's grown in a semi-exponential manner. So population is expected. Now, please excuse me if my line isn't very good here, but population is expected to go something like this. So it starts off quite flat and then suddenly it starts to accelerate upwards and it crosses over the line here. And this is essentially Malthusian's theory summarized graphically, right? So this is going to be population. And what Malthus believes, essentially, is if population did not rely on food, it would continue to exponentially grow upwards like this. But in reality, what happens is this point here, this is a critical threshold point, right? This is a critical Malthusian threshold. So let's write this on it. So critical Malthusian threshold right here. And the idea is what actually happens once you pass this critical Malthusian threshold? I'll let you just think for a second. Any ideas? Well, the answer is there is not enough food anymore to sustain the population, right? So the population has outstripped food. Population has outstripped food and therefore must decline somehow. So this population line is going to have to somehow end up going something like this, perhaps, you know, kind of flatlining or something, or even coming down until once again it crosses back into the safe threshold. And the idea is basically this is unsustainable, right? Anything beneath this line is sustainable. Anything above the line is unsustainable. And that really is Malthusian theory.